This is the Rocker Dogcast, coming to you during these dog days of summer to bring you the stories of musicians and their canine companions. I'm your host, Tim Dill, along with Charlie the Golden Doodle, who bankrolls this whole operation. And today we welcome to the show Portland, Oregon-based singer-songwriter Jeffery Silverstein, whose new LP, appropriately titled Doggone, hits platforms on October 23rd on Full Time Hobby Records. And this is his patience-trying Rocker Dog.
We are talking about today is my very large Doberman Pyrenees mix named Jeff that we ultimately rescued from the Oregon Humane Society. But my wife, who is a freelance illustrator and fitness instructor here in town, here in Portland, Oregon, where we live, one of her clients fosters dogs and cats, and I didn't know her too well. I don't even know if she knew that my name was Jeffrey, but she had already chosen the name Jeff, and my wife was like, "Do you want to go meet a dog named Jeff?" And how could I say no to that? And we took a short drive over to her house and met him. Yeah, I just knew right away that was my dude, and we just didn't have the heart to change the name. So I'm Jeffrey, he's Jeff Jr. My parents call him, JD, Jeff the dog, or he's gotten some nicknames, Big Brown, Mr. Brown. But yeah, I love him so much, and pretty life-changing experience already having this guy. So
Yeah, well, I can't wait to get into that.
yeah.
I guess initially just the pursuit of him. Were you guys in the market for a dog, or did this just kind of come up? Did somebody say, "Hey, listen, I'm fostering some dogs. Do you guys want to take a look?"
Yeah, I mean we're both such animal people. I think I grew up with dogs. My wife grew up in Colorado with all sorts of animals, and we had an older cat named Veda who was, oh my God, I think she was 19, and a younger cat named Willoughby. And I think moving to Portland, and owning our first home, I think we started to envision what having a dog would actually look like for us, kind of on the day-to-day level. But we weren't really actively looking, definitely doing some of the just like sharing of, dogs that were up for adoption on different, Instagram accounts or following some local organizations. But once it kind of was able to be start happening just through that friend level, the fact that my wife had a close friend that was fostering, I think that really kind of made it just feel a lot more real for us. I don't think we would have been able to, welcome such a large animal to our home without, the yard and, to be a little bit more set up already in advance for it. So
Yeah. Did that
yeah.
give you any hesitation knowing that? I mean, your dog is probably pushing 100 pounds, right?
Yeah, he's like 105.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with pretty big dogs, Sunny, my wife did as well. But of course, when you rescue, these animals, they're like, oh, maybe he'll be 80 pounds,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I'm like, should have known right away by the size of those paws and his legs. So I do not think I was anticipating having a dog this large or this strong or this stubborn or this smart or all of the things that I've kind of grown to know about him and love about him. He's a very big, physically dog, but that also comes along with like really big emotions and big feelings and big personality. And I love that those two things happen at the same time. I mean, I'm sure you understand this as a, animal lover, and dog owner, but it's just like I'm just so in love with them, and like the community I think that I've found just in our neighborhood based around dog owners and what I've come to learn through them and watch him. Yeah, it's been such a like it's honestly been this weird continuation of feeling more connected to my neighborhood and my place as all of the other dog owners, and bringing him to the same place and seeing the same dogs consistently. And I don't know, it's that part is really, really special too.
There seems to
Yeah.
be a little bit of in the write-up of your new album on
Yeah.
your website, there seemed to be a thread about community. And I wanted to ask you, is there a subset of that community that's your dog community?
1,000%. I mean, we live in a neighborhood called Roseway, which is in Northeast Portland, kind of a quieter
Mhm.
section of town. And his happy place is kind of off-leash area of Roseway Middle School. And everyone knows each other's dogs. And there's also this really beautiful kind of music dog connection where at least three or four of the dog owners that show up consistently to the middle school where I bring them nearly daily are also all musicians.
Mhm.
Um, and there's a lot of musicians in this neighborhood, and so it's really cool. Like they've come to see my shows or DJ sets or whatever just because they know my dog.
Yeah.
Or I've gone, and vice versa. And so there's this really kind of beautiful, like, yeah, cross pollination of musician dog owners right in the neighborhood.
That's
Yeah.
great. You alluded to how kind of profound Jeff's been in your life, and
Yeah.
the little exchange that we had before meeting right now. You mentioned he's a massive part of your world, very grounding, and a
Yeah.
big impact of how you see the world and your music writing and outlook. And knowing that you've had a history with dogs, is there a version of you before Jeff and a version of you after Jeff?
What a beautiful question. Thank you for asking that. I mean, like things that I value in others and that I attempt to practice in my personal life, a really big, I would say, value system or virtue is just like based around patience.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm also a high school special education teacher, which I think one can easily understand why that might require a certain level of patience.
Yep.
In that profession, I find patience and being like a calm, grounding presence for the other, meaning the student, most
Hmm.
of the time, but that could be the parent, right, is like one of the most important parts of the work. I find that to be true as a band leader too, like consistency of presence. But I mean, I thought I was patient, and then I got this dog, and yeah, so it's like patience and communication because I also think, when you're bringing like a new member of your world home, I think you also have to like really make sure you're getting on the same page with your partner in regards to how, like if I'm not home, like are we walking him in the same way, using the same commands, all of these kind of like dog training things, and you're learning so much about him. And so I suppose it's like there's like the patience factor that I think is even more so kind of ramped up. And then I think there's the communication factor and the trust factor. I think you kind of assume that when you get a dog that you're all just gonna like understand each other
Hmm.
right away, and just settle into this. I don't know. Very easy to have a pretty like overexcited version of what dog ownership might kind of look like. And yeah, and I mean, he tested, both of our patients in ways that was like so significant. And I mean, like, it's just so beautiful because I just feel like the longer he's here, I feel like he gets me a little more and I get him, and same with my wife. And I don't know, it's just,
Is
that's
that your,
really,
was that your, sorry to interrupt, because I think what
yeah,
might be, a driving force is, was he your first puppy? I mean, if he was
yeah,
four
yes,
months old, because that's a whole other ball game.
That's I think that's really such a massive part of this is that he's our first puppy, as dog owners. It's interesting to become pet owners or dog parents in the age of Instagram and social media, just in regards to like how much advice is out there. It's like I don't ever remember my parents being like, "Oh yeah, I don't even think they were like reading a book about dog
Yeah.
ownership or anything. They were just kind of like, this is the dog we have and we're doing our best.
Yeah.
But I think you have to be really careful about how much of that you're taking in,
Yeah.
and really make sure you're like watching and listening to the dog.
Yeah.
It's kind of, been big for me, and just I think one thing I've really come to appreciate is like so we always get asked if he is a Ridgeback. That's kind of like the first question we get asked just because of his coloring and like size and build. But what do they call just when dogs get it, like the hackles? Just how much that can kind of tell you about like what level of like stimulated he is. He's a dog that's it can be very overstimulated very easy. And so that's what I mean. It's like if you just pay attention to that, you'll know a lot about what's happening in the moment instead of me looking at my phone to be like, is my
Yeah.
dog
Yeah.
sad right now or scared or yeah, yeah.
Well, it kind of goes back to, if looking at your parents' generation and just some of the things you've been saying, they just use their basic values to raise the dog, give the dog
It,
respect, give the dog patience, give the dog structure.
Yeah, it was a value system way of approaching dog ownership. And I think that's what like the best dog trainers or content people, I think that's those are at least for the ones that I was drawn to. And I think we attempted like when he was really little, like some group classes at the Humane Society and PetSmart or something like that. Those were like honestly some of the my worst moments as a dog owner. I mean, they couldn't
Why is that
have.
specifically?
He wasn't ready. He was so overstimulated, and I think I was just putting him in scenarios that were not even close to what he was like ready for. It just went so poorly, and it was so discouraging. And then I think when we got linked up with the woman that would become kind of our more consistent trainer and had her come to our home and kind of see a little bit how we operated here and locally. And I feel like that's when I really started to like learn some more kind
Yeah.
of like concrete tools and strategies.
It sounds like she took note of the context in which Jeff is existing in.
And that's something I think about all the time in so many different ways. I think about the context in which music is made and when it's made and all of the factors and technology and what's happening in society that maybe like lets a certain genre or album or type of artist kind of like rise or be known. And I think context is just so important for everything.
Yeah.
Without context, you can't understand things. You don't know, right? You don't know what's happening in, I don't know, a book or a movie or yeah.
Yeah.
And you nailed it. She gave the context. So yeah.
Before I forget,
Yeah.
have you done a DNA on Jeff?
Yeah, yeah. We did the DNA test and it was majority Doberman and then some Pyrenees. And I think there was like one other thing maybe. And again, kind of going back to context, like I don't know if there are studies or things that have like shown how reliable those DNA kits,
Right.
and there's probably so many different brands and like but the context of then being able to like when you know about your breed a little bit more, I think is super helpful. And I think what I've come to learn is like he really is a Doberman from my perspective in regards to like personality and how he interacts with the world and how he interacts with us. And so I think like that was that, and then in addition to the trainer, and then in addition to just like time, and
Mhm.
I think we're all kind of started to like kind of fill the gaps a bit.
Yeah. I had Hound Mix, and I had to have must have picked that up through
Well,
your social
well,
media, your wife's social media.
I think when we rescued him, that's what they just said,
Okay. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
he was a hound mix.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now, as a DJ,
Mm.
I'm going to rely on your vast knowledge of music going back years and years.
Sure.
Can you think of any good dog theme songs?
There's a song called I'll Be Doggone, which I'm blanking on who the original writer is, but I know Bob Weir did a version of it. There's a blues guitarist named Solomon Burke that I think was the version that turned me onto it. But that was kind of the one where I'd always liked that word doggone or that phrase. But that was the song that kind of got me into it. I'm trying to think. I do like really love seeing dogs just featured on album covers and as part of like press photography. And one of my all-time favorite records, this guy Bobby Charles, very prominently featured. It's like him with his dog. And man, I'm really struggling on the specific dog-related songs right now. But yeah, I'll Be Doggone is one that's been on rotation for me recently.
Okay. Well, that'll be
Yeah.
a perfect segue into
Yeah.
your upcoming LP, which will be out in October,
Yep.
called Doggone.
Yeah.
Just saying you like that word for you're not sure why.
Yeah, I think it can, like, in my mind, it's like for surprise, like, well, I'll be doggone,
Yeah.
or excitement, confusion, disbelief,
Yeah.
I think it
Got
can
many
all,
aspects to it.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I kind of like that it felt like playful in that way. I like the way it looked kind of written out. And I think it also just kind of like, I think that phrase, I'll be doggone, I liked. And I'm really focused on a lot of times just like short phrases for my
Mhm.
lyrics, used effectively rather than maybe like really lengthy, overly verbose kind of songs. So it kind of just landed for me. And a lot of times for me, once I have an album title, I think that's when I can really start to have, again, context. Like that's what gives context in the container for all of these other song ideas or song titles or phrases or ideas to kind of then live under and me decide whether or not those are part of the doggone
Yeah.
universe or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can assume that Jeff hasn't inspired any of the music to your new LP, but was he present in the making of it or present in the conception of any songs?
I actually recently, for the first time, brought him over to the studio where I made the album at, and so I'm hoping that eventually he will be, as he gets a little older, like a studio dog, that can kind of just hang and chill over there. But there's a song on the album called "Hell of a," and I'm kind of just talking about like getting a little older and putting things in perspective and not being so attached or drawn to things that don't serve me,
Yeah.
and I think there's nothing like a dog to remind you to try to be present
Yeah.
and calm and all of those things that you hope. And because I mean, like, what are they if not present? It's
Yeah.
like every moment is just right now. And and I think like it is funny, like all that stuff you see on like social media. It's like, well, their lives happen, so quick. Then you realize that it's just like it's so true. Like their timeline is
Yeah.
very compressed. And so if you kind of accept that, you're like, let me try to make things as cool as possible for you, as many experiences and all the love and care. And I think you get that back from them and you hope then you can kind of like apply that mentality to others,
Yeah.
and how you move through the world. So yeah.
All right. Now I'm curious. We're gonna move on to the last five questions that I call the
Sure.
zoomies, but I have to ask a dog that size, does he get the
Yeah,
zoomies?
he absolutely does.
It must be earth-shattering.
Yeah, we go normally when we go to the middle school, it's like he drags me there early and he will just sit and stare until another dog comes. He just is like looks so sad and forlorn until one of his buddies shows up. And he'll play a bunch and kind of like get his energy going. And then he always still has to do just like one final like run in circles on the baseball field or go in the weird sand pit that's over at the middle school and do some digging. So yeah, he still gets them.
Okay. Well, question one of the zoomies is Jeff the home screen to your phone?
Our cat Willoughby is home screen, but the other background, once you open it, is an illustration that my wife did
Okay.
of him. Yeah, yeah. And I gotta just say for a second too, my wife was in an all dog themed art show not too long ago and
Yes.
did this kind of life-size
I love that.
version of him here.
Yeah, I have that note. Sometimes gallery dog show. That's something I would love to have
It
walk through.
was, yeah, it was really cool. We brought him there, which was a really sweet moment, and he seemed pretty proud of himself.
Okay, question two. Does Jeff have a theme song?
I don't know if he does, or I don't know. There's a Waylon Jennings song that I really love called "I Could Run with the Big Dog." So there's another dog related song for you that kind of I'm a big Waylon fan. Funny enough, I think that song was initially on this like NASCAR compilation, a very funny collection of songs. But yeah, maybe that would be his theme.
I gotta look that up. That sounds very
Yeah.
appropriate. Okay, question three. I know he doesn't tour with you, so this is hypothetical. I don't think
Sure.
he'd probably need his own bus, which is, you talk about expenses. If he went on tour, what would you put on his tour rider?
He would have to have his rawhides. He's a bit of a freak for his rawhides. Try to mix it up so it's not just kibble. We do a lot of like sardines, So
Okay.
he definitely have to have some cans of sardines on there. He loves chicken, loves chips. If we've got chips or cheese, like he's going really hard for that. Yeah, I think those would be the main things.
Okay, question four. Do you have a dog voice?
Probably. I don't know if I'm willing to do it.
I mean, the easy
Uh,
way out is if it's cliche. Do you just go high pitch? Are you falsetto with him?
that's a really yeah, probably just high pitch.
Okay. And then question five, I always give my guests an opportunity to give someone a shout out that does good for their dogs.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely the Oregon Humane Society as well as their community veterinary facilities. So we rescued him through the Humane Society, and then right next door is their vet. And for a dog that is awful at the vet, I mean, just he has to be a dog this big, like has to be like sedated for like a regular checkup. It's ridiculous. He's just a wreck. And they've just been so remarkably patient and kind and supportive. And so can't shout their team out enough. And then also Mickey, whose training company here in town is called Fluff Scouts.
Okay.
I think we really learned so much about just our approach through Mickey, and I've watched Mickey just continue to grow her business and offerings and program. Yeah, and someone that I even, when I'm like, hey, I need a recommendation for someone that's to come stay at the house or anything like that. So yeah, Fluff Scouts here in Portland, Oregon.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. I was going to say you probably can't hear it, but I've got a dog moaning to get outside, but perfect timing.
Yes.
Best of luck. Your new LP, Doggone, will be out in October.
Yep.
Tour to follow.
Yeah, tour coming up soon in the UK and Sweden actually this August, and then yeah, some dates in October around the release, and then there'll be more on the way, kind of leading into next year too.
All right. We'll look for that info on social media where
Yeah.
something good and constructive will, you're offering something good and constructive.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time. It was a real pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jeff and Jeff, Jeffrey and Jeff.
Appreciate that.
Carl, you're a damn good dog.